The millionaire abandoned his fiancée in a cruel way. 20 years later, he saw her with a girl identical to him in a luxury restaurant, and approached. The Chicago skyline glittered like a crown of jewels against the dusky evening sky as Lauren Palmer hurried through the staff entrance of the Imperial Hotel. Her heart hammered in her chest, first-day jitters mixed with the urgency of being 5 minutes late, not the impression she had hoped to make. "You must be Lauren," a stern-faced woman in a crisp black suit said, checking her watch pointedly. "I'm Mrs. Reynolds, head of staff. We start precisely at 7, not 7:05. "I'm so sorry." Lauren tucked a strand of chestnut hair behind her ear. "The bus was—" "Save it. Follow me." Mrs. Reynolds turned sharply on her heel. "The Imperial serves the elite of Chicago. Perfection isn't requested, it's required." Lauren nodded, taking in the opulent surroundings as they walked. The staff corridors were plain, but through every service door, she caught glimpses of a world she'd only seen in magazines. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, guests in designer clothes whose watches probably cost more than her yearly rent. Her waitressing uniform felt suddenly restrictive. The black pencil skirt and white button-up blouse were a far cry from the casual clothes she wore at the diner she'd worked at through college. But the tips here could help her finally pay off her student loans. That's what mattered. "You'll be serving in the Azure Lounge tonight," Mrs. Reynolds explained. "Our head bartender will show you the ropes. Don't speak unless spoken to. Anticipate needs before they're expressed. And for heaven's sake, don't spill anything on anyone worth more than your life." Lauren swallowed hard. "Yes, ma'am." The Azure Lounge was bathed in soft blue lighting that made everything look underwater. Lauren moved between tables with practiced grace, balancing trays of martinis and champagne flutes. 3 hours into her shift, she was finally settling into a rhythm when the atmosphere in the room suddenly shifted. A ripple of whispers, back straightening, smiles becoming more practiced. "Mitchell's here," the bartender murmured to her as she collected another order. "The son, not the father. Try not to stare." Lauren turned discreetly and saw him immediately. William Mitchell. The gossip columns called him Chicago's most eligible bachelor. Heir to the Mitchell Hotel empire. Tall, with dark hair styled in that perfectly imperfect way that screamed money. But it was his eyes that caught her off guard. Piercing blue-green, somehow both warm and calculating as they surveyed the room. Those eyes found hers for just a moment. Lauren quickly looked away, focusing intensely on arranging drinks on her tray. "Table 12 needs fresh drinks," the bartender said, nudging her. Lauren glanced up. Table 12, where William Mitchell now sat with 3 other men in expensive suits. "Right," she said, lifting her chin and straightening her shoulders. "Just another table. Just another customer who happened to own half of Chicago." "Gentlemen," she said as she approached, her voice steadier than she felt. "What can I get for you this evening?" The men barely looked at her as they ordered. 2 Scotch neat, 1 bourbon on the rocks, but William Mitchell studied her face with curious intensity. "And for you, sir?" Lauren asked, meeting his gaze directly. A slight smile curved his lips. "Surprise me." His friends chuckled, but William's eyes never left hers. "A challenge?" Lauren nodded. "I'll do my best, Mr. Mitchell." When she returned with their drinks, she placed a crystal tumbler in front of William containing an amber liquid over a single large ice cube. "Old-fashioned with a twist," she explained. The twist being a hint of maple and orange bitters instead of the traditional Angostura. Not too sweet, not too simple, something with character. William raised an eyebrow, lifted the glass to his lips, and took a sip. His friends watched expectantly. "Perfect," he said simply, but his eyes conveyed more. Respect, perhaps, interest, definitely. Throughout the evening, Lauren felt his gaze following her. When the lounge began to empty around midnight, he was still there, now alone with papers spread across the table. "We're closing soon, sir," she said softly. William looked up, seeming almost startled. "Already, I lost track of time." He gathered his papers. "First day. That obvious? You don't have that dead look in your eyes yet." His smile was disarming. "I'm William. I know who you are, Mr. Mitchell. And you're—" "Lauren. Lauren Palmer." "Well, Lauren Palmer with the innovative old-fashioned. Would you like to join me for a late dinner?" The kitchen's closed here, but I know a place. Lauren blinked in surprise. I can't. I have an early class tomorrow. College. Northwestern. Final semester. Something like genuine interest flickered across his face. Studying. Business administration with a minor in culinary arts. Interesting combination. Lauren shrugged. I like to cook, but I don't want to be broke my whole life. William laughed. A real laugh, not the polished chuckle she'd heard him use with his associates earlier. Pragmatic. I like that. He stood, collecting his suit jacket. Another time, perhaps. Perhaps, she echoed, not believing for a second that the heir to the Mitchell fortune would return for a rain check with a waitress. But he did. The next night, and the night after that, on the third night, he asked her again to join him after her shift. This time, she said yes. They went to a tiny 24-hour diner where the coffee was terrible and the pancakes divine. He loosened his tie. She kicked off her heels under the table. They talked until dawn, about her dreams of opening a restaurant someday, about the pressure he felt to live up to his father's legacy, about anything except the glaring reality that they came from different worlds. My mother would have a coronary if she saw me here, William said, pouring an obscene amount of syrup over his pancakes. The great William Mitchell, heir to the imperial throne, slumming it in a diner at 3 a.m. Is that what you're doing? Slumming it. Lauren's voice had an edge. William's expression sobered. No, God, no, I'm just breathing. For the first time in years, he reached across the table, his fingers lightly touching hers. You make me feel like a person, not a portfolio. 6 months of secret midnight diners, stolen kisses in service corridors, and weekend escapes to his lake house followed. Lauren met his friends. William helped her study for finals. They kept their relationship private, not because William insisted, but because Lauren feared the scrutiny, the inevitable gossip columns speculating about the gold-digging waitress. But secrecy became impossible the night William got down on one knee on the Imperial Hotel rooftop, the Chicago skyline bearing witness as he offered her a ring that had belonged to his grandmother. My mother will come around, he promised later that night as they lay tangled in his sheets, planning their future. She just needs time to see what I see in you. Lauren wasn't so sure. She'd caught glimpses of Carol Mitchell watching her with cold calculation during the rare moments their paths crossed at the hotel. But William's faith was unwavering. Nothing can come between us, he whispered against her hair. I won't let it. Neither of them saw the storm coming, the calculated plan already in motion, orchestrated by those who would do anything to keep the Mitchell legacy untainted by a girl from the wrong side of the tracks. And as Lauren fell asleep in her fiancé's arms, she had no idea that their time together was quickly running out. The St. Ignatius Cathedral stood majestically against the morning sky, its stained glass windows glowing like jewels in the early sun. Lauren ran her fingers across the delicate lace of her wedding dress, hanging in the preparation room where she'd spent the morning getting ready. In less than 3 hours, she would become Mrs. William Mitchell. You look like you might throw up, Karen said, adjusting the floral arrangements. As the head chef at the Imperial's restaurant, Karen had become Lauren's closest friend and confidant over the past months. Just nerves, Lauren replied, though it was more than that. Carol Mitchell's icy demeanor at the rehearsal dinner the night before had left her unsettled. William's mother had barely acknowledged her, speaking only to correct Lauren's table etiquette or to remind everyone of the Mitchell family's distinguished lineage. She'll never accept me, will she? Lauren whispered. Karen squeezed her shoulder. Give her time. You're taking her precious son. That's hard for any mother. A soft knock interrupted them. The wedding coordinator peeked in, holding a cream-colored envelope. This just arrived for you, Miss Palmer. From the groom, I believe. Lauren's heart fluttered as she took the envelope. Maybe a sweet note before the ceremony. William was thoughtful that way. I'll give you some privacy, Karen said, stepping out. Alone, Lauren carefully opened the envelope. Inside was a letter and a check. Her hands began to tremble as she unfolded the paper. Lauren, I've had time to reflect on our relationship and the commitment we were about to make. The truth is, we come from different worlds that can never truly merge. My family legacy demands certain sacrifices, and I've realized I'm not prepared to make them for someone of your background. I've enclosed a check that should compensate for any inconvenience. Please don't try to contact me. The wedding, of course, is canceled. William, the check fluttered from her numb fingers. $1 million. The price he'd put on her heart. Lauren couldn't breathe. The room spun around her as she read the letter again, searching for some sign that this was a cruel joke. The handwriting looked like his, but the words, the cold, callous dismissal, they couldn't be from the man who'd whispered promises against her skin just hours before. She fumbled for her phone, dialing William's number, straight to voicemail. Again, in a daze, Lauren gathered her purse and the letter, leaving the dress hanging like a ghost of what might have been. She caught a taxi to the Mitchell estate, determined to confront William face to face. "I'm sorry, Miss Palmer," the housekeeper said, not meeting her eyes. "Mr. Mitchell left for a business trip early this morning. Mrs. Mitchell asked not to be disturbed." "This is impossible," Lauren insisted, her voice breaking. "We're getting married today. There must be some mistake." "No mistake," came a cool voice from the staircase. Carol Mitchell descended, wrapped in a silk robe, looking for all the world like she hadn't just destroyed someone's life. "My son came to his senses. You should be grateful for his generosity." "I don't want his money," Lauren spat. "I want to talk to him." "That won't be possible." Carol's smile was all teeth. William made his decision. The Mitchell name will not be tarnished by this unfortunate episode. Rage and grief collided inside Lauren as she realized the truth. "You did this somehow. You did this." Carol's expression never changed. "Security will see you out." 2 hours later, Lauren stood alone in the empty cathedral. The flowers were still there. The pews were decorated with white ribbons. Everything perfect for a wedding that would never happen. She pulled the crumpled check from her pocket, staring at the obscene amount. With trembling hands, she tore it into tiny pieces, letting them fall like confetti at the altar where she should have said her vows. "I hope your precious legacy was worth it," she whispered to the empty church. William Mitchell woke to the sound of waves crashing. His head felt like it had been split open with an axe, his mouth dry as sandpaper. He blinked, trying to orient himself in the unfamiliar room. "You're awake, thank goodness." A woman's voice, not Lauren's. William forced his eyes to focus. Kimberly Wallace sat beside his bed, her blonde hair perfectly styled, concern etched on her delicate features. What was his family's business rival doing here? And where was here? "What?" His voice cracked. "Where am I?" "Seattle, at my family's private clinic." Kimberly handed him a glass of water. "You had a breakdown, William, don't you remember?" William tried to push himself up, but dizziness forced him back down. "Breakdown? What are you talking about? I'm getting married today." Kimberly's expression softened with practiced sympathy. "Oh, William, that was days ago." "Days?" Panic surged through him. "No, that's not possible, Lauren." "She's gone, William." Kimberly placed a manicured hand on his. "She took the money and left. Your mother thought it best to bring you somewhere quiet to recover." "Money? What money?" William's thoughts were sluggish, confused. Nothing made sense. "I need to call her. The doctor said this might happen. Memory gaps." Kimberly sighed. "You offered her a settlement when you realized the marriage was a mistake." "She accepted quite eagerly, from what your father told me." "No." William shook his head, wincing at the pain. "I love her. I wouldn't." "You were having doubts for weeks," Kimberly insisted. "The pressure of the wedding triggered your collapse. Your family called me because they knew we were." "Close once?" William struggled to remember. The night before the wedding, he'd had drinks with his father and some business associates. He recalled feeling strangely tired, going to bed early, and nothing after that. "I need my phone. Doctor's orders. No stress, no outside contact, just rest." Kimberly squeezed his hand. "I'll take care of everything." For weeks, they kept him sedated enough to be compliant, coherent enough to sign the occasional document his father brought. Kimberly was a constant presence, playing the part of devoted friend, slowly rewriting his memories with carefully constructed stories. When the fog finally began to clear, William demanded answers, insisted on contacting Lauren. He wrote her desperate letters explaining the confusion, the lost time, begging her to respond. "I'll mail them personally," Kimberly promised, the letters disappearing into her purse, never to reach their destination. each time William asked about responses. Carol would appear with the same sad smile. "She's moved on, darling. She's happy with her new life. The money served her well." 6 agonizing months passed. William's search grew increasingly desperate until, defeated and believing Lauren had truly abandoned him for money, he finally stopped looking. "You need to move forward," George Mitchell told his son during a private dinner. "The Wallace merger would secure our position as the leading hotel chain in America. Kimberly has been by your side through all of this." William stared into his whiskey glass, seeing Lauren's face in the amber liquid. "Is that what this was all about? The business?" "Don't be dramatic," his father scoffed. "Sometimes things work out for the best. Kimberly understands our world. She's suitable." "Suitable," William repeated hollowly. 2 weeks later, he proposed to Kimberly in the Imperial's grand ballroom. Surrounded by Chicago's elite, the diamond ring on her finger was new, purchased by his mother. His grandmother's ring, the one he'd given Lauren, had mysteriously disappeared. As flashbulbs popped and champagne flowed, William smiled the empty smile he'd perfected since waking up in that Seattle clinic. Inside, something vital had died, leaving only a shell that moved through the motions of the life others had decided he should live. "We'll be so happy," Kimberly whispered, clinging to his arm possessively. William nodded, his eyes fixed on the horizon visible through the ballroom windows, wondering where Lauren was at that exact moment, and if she ever thought of him. Savannah's sticky summer heat clung to Lauren's skin as she stepped off the bus, one hand protectively covering her slightly swollen belly. 4 months pregnant, she'd managed to hide her condition with loose clothing during the long journey from Chicago. Karen stood waiting, waving enthusiastically from beside her battered pickup truck. "You made it." Karen rushed forward, enveloping Lauren in a tight hug before pulling back to look at her. "God, you look exhausted. 26 hours on a bus will do that to you." Lauren attempted a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Karen's gaze dropped to Lauren's midsection. "And how's... the baby's fine." Lauren's voice dropped to a whisper. "No one can know, Karen. No one can ever know whose child this is." Karen nodded solemnly, taking Lauren's single suitcase and guiding her to the truck. "My aunt's place is all set up for you. It's nothing fancy, but it's quiet, and the neighbors mind their own business." Lauren stared out the window as they drove through Savannah's historic district, moss-draped oaks creating patterns of sunlight and shadow across the road. This place couldn't be more different from Chicago's sleek urbanity. Maybe that was good. Maybe here, she could become someone new. "I got you a job interview at the diner where I worked before moving to Chicago," Karen said, breaking the silence. "Nothing glamorous, but the tips are decent." "Thank you," Lauren said, her voice tight with unshed tears. "For everything." Karen reached across to squeeze her hand. "That's what friends are for. Besides, I've always wanted to be the cool aunt." 5 months later, Emma Palmer came into the world with a lusty cry and a shock of dark hair. Lauren gazed down at her daughter's tiny face, heart expanding almost painfully in her chest when the infant opened her eyes, unmistakably Mitchell blue-green. "She's beautiful," Karen whispered, standing beside the hospital bed. "She's everything," Lauren replied, making a silent vow that her daughter would never know the pain of rejection she had experienced. Emma would grow up knowing she was wanted, cherished. Enough. The first years were brutally hard. Lauren worked double shifts at the diner, leaving Emma with Karen or neighbors when schedules allowed. Nights were spent hunched over cookbooks and business plans at her tiny kitchen table after Emma had fallen asleep. When Emma turned 3, Lauren took a risk, using her meager savings to rent a small storefront on a side street. Palmer's Bread and Pastry opened with little fanfare, just homemade bread, pies, and the recipes Karen had taught her during late nights at the Imperial Hotel's kitchen. The first month, she barely broke even. The second month brought a few regulars. By the 6th month, there was a line out the door every morning for her signature cinnamon rolls. Lauren hired her first employee, then a second, when a food critic from Atlanta raved about her home-style flavors that taste like childhood memories. Business exploded on Emma's 5th birthday. Lauren was able to buy them a small house with a fenced yard and a kitchen big enough for Emma to stand on a stool beside her mother, learning to roll out dough with tiny, flour-covered hands. "Mommy, why don't I have a daddy like Lily at school?" Emma asked one night as Lauren tucked her into bed. Lauren's heart clenched. She'd prepared for this question, but still felt the sting. Some families have a mommy and daddy. Some have two mommies or two daddies. Some, like us, have just a mommy. But where is my daddy? Lauren stroked her daughter's hair, so like William's in color and texture. Your daddy couldn't be with us, sweetheart, but he gave me the most precious gift in the world. You. It wasn't a lie. Not exactly. Lauren had decided long ago that hatred and bitterness would not be Emma's inheritance. 3,000 miles away, William Mitchell stood at the altar of Chicago's St. Patrick's Cathedral, watching Kimberly Wallace glide down the aisle in a gown that reportedly cost more than most people's homes. The wedding of the year, the society pages called it. The business merger of the decade, the financial press proclaimed. William said his vows mechanically, feeling nothing as he slipped the ring onto Kimberly's finger. The reception was a blur of congratulations and champagne. He smiled when appropriate, danced when expected, and played his part flawlessly. That night, in the honeymoon suite of the Mitchell flagship hotel, Kimberly draped herself across the bed in expensive lingerie while William stood at the window, staring at the city lights. "Aren't you coming to bed, darling?" Her voice was honey-sweet, practiced. "In a minute," he replied, the same answer he would give for the next 20 years. The Mitchell-Wallace merger created the largest luxury hotel conglomerate in the American market. Board meetings became battlegrounds between the families. With William acting as reluctant mediator, he threw himself into expansion projects, spending weeks, sometimes months, at construction sites around the country. Anything to escape the hollow echo of his life in Chicago. Kimberly's initial honeymoon glow faded quickly when she realized that possessing William's name and body did not guarantee his heart. Her jealousy and insecurity manifested in constant surveillance, checking his phone, having hotel staff report his movements, appearing unexpectedly at business meetings. "I thought we could have lunch," she would say, materializing in his office doorway when he was scheduled to dine with potential investors. "I missed you," she would whisper, showing up at his hotel room in Dallas or Miami or wherever business had taken him. William accepted her presence as part of the bargain he'd made, too emotionally exhausted to fight. Sometimes, in rare, unguarded moments, he would wonder about Lauren. Had she found happiness with her $1 million? Had she ever loved him at all? By their 5th anniversary, Kimberly's desperation for a child had become all-consuming. "A heir," she insisted. The future of the Mitchell-Wallace legacy. But month after month brought disappointment, driving her to increasingly erratic behavior, fertility specialists, exotic treatments, scheduled intimacy that felt more like a clinical procedure than an act between husband and wife. "Perhaps it's not meant to be," William suggested gently, after another negative test reduced her to tears. "Don't you dare say that," Kimberly hissed, her face contorted. "I will give you a child. I will secure my place in this family." William retreated further into his work, expanding the empire while feeling like a stranger in his own life. The hotels became his true children, each property carefully designed, nurtured, and launched with the passion he couldn't express elsewhere. 10 years into their marriage, during the groundbreaking ceremony for the Mitchell-Wallace Resort in Las Vegas, George pulled his son aside. "Your mother and I are proud of what you've accomplished," he said, the rare compliment catching William off guard. "Just doing my job," William replied, uncomfortable with his father's sudden sentimentality. "We made the right choice," George continued, clapping William's shoulder. "That waitress would have been a disaster for the family." William stiffened, the old wound still raw despite the years. "Her name was Lauren," George waved dismissively. "Ancient history. You have everything a man could want. Wealth, status, a beautiful wife. Everything except love," William thought, but didn't say. Later that night, alone in his hotel suite, William found himself doing something he hadn't done in years, searching Lauren Palmer's name online. There were no results that matched the woman he'd known, as if she had vanished completely after leaving Chicago. Perhaps that had been her intention all along, to disappear with his money, reinvent herself somewhere beyond his reach. The thought should have angered him, but instead left him strangely hollow. Somewhere across the country, at that exact moment, Lauren Palmer was tucking an inquisitive 10-year-old Emma into bed, unaware that the man she had once loved was thinking of her. Separated by a decade of lies neither of them had told. "Mom, have you seen my application portfolio?" Emma Palmer's voice echoed through the spacious kitchen of their Savannah home. At 20, she was the spitting image of her mother, with one striking difference: those piercing blue-green eyes that sometimes made Lauren's heart skip a beat. "Check my office," Lauren called back, putting the finishing touches on a new dessert recipe. "I was reviewing it last night, from a single bakery 15 years ago." Lauren had built home-style flavor into a regional powerhouse with restaurants in 6 southern cities. Her unpretentious approach to elevated comfort food had earned her features in national magazines and a loyal customer base that included celebrities and politicians passing through Georgia. Emma burst into the kitchen, portfolio in hand, hair still damp from the shower. "You made notes." "Just suggestions," Lauren smiled. "Your presentation is already excellent. It has to be perfect. The Mitchell-Wallace internship program only accepts 12 students a year." Emma pulled up a stool, stealing a bite of the dessert Lauren was plating. What's in this? Orange blossom water and cardamom. You think it works?" "It's divine," Emma confirmed. "But back to my crisis. Do you really think a culinary arts major has a shot at their business division internship?" Lauren carefully set down her piping bag, taking a moment to compose herself. Even after all these years, the name Mitchell could knock the wind from her lungs. "You're also studying hotel management," she replied evenly. "And you've practically grown up in the restaurant business. Why wouldn't they want you?" Emma's expression brightened. "That's why you're my favorite mom." "I'm your only mom," Lauren laughed, tucking away the familiar pang when Emma's smile transformed her face into a feminine echo of William's. After Emma left for her morning class, Lauren retreated to her office, sinking into her chair with a sigh. She'd built this life from nothing. A successful business, a beautiful home, a daughter any mother would be proud of. Why did the mere mention of the Mitchell name still have the power to unsettle her? She opened her laptop, hesitating only briefly before typing Mitchell-Wallace Hotels into the search bar. The company website appeared, sleek and professional. Their newest property, opening soon in Chicago, was being touted as the most luxurious hotel in America. Lauren clicked through to the executive team page, her finger hovering over the trackpad before selecting William Mitchell's profile. The professional headshot showed a man in his 40s, silver threading through his dark hair at the temples, those unmistakable eyes more weathered but still striking. His biography listed achievements, acquisitions, awards, but revealed nothing of the man himself. What would she tell Emma if she got the internship? 20 years of carefully constructed half-truths would be at risk. Yet how could she stand in the way of her daughter's dreams? Emma had worked too hard, was too passionate about hospitality management to be derailed by her mother's past. Lauren closed the laptop. Decision made. If Emma was accepted, she would find a way to navigate the situation. After all, what were the chances that William Mitchell would personally encounter an intern in a company that employed thousands? I need the final approval on the Chicago grand opening," William's assistant said, placing a folder on his desk. "The PR team is waiting on the guest list." William nodded absently, his attention focused on the quarterly projections. At 45, he had grown into his role as the face of the Mitchell-Wallace empire, his business instincts sharpened by years of experience. His once boyish features had matured into distinguished handsomeness that the company's marketing team leveraged shamelessly for promotions. "Your mother's foundation called again," the assistant continued. "They want to confirm your speech for the annual gala." "Tell them yes," William replied automatically, though the thought of another evening of performative philanthropy exhausted him. 3 years ago, the private jet carrying George and Carol Mitchell had crashed into the Atlantic during a routine trip to Miami. The official investigation cited mechanical failure, but questions lingered about the maintenance schedule and the last-minute change of pilots. William had mourned his parents with the appropriate public gravity, but privately felt a complex mixture of grief and liberation. George's controlling influence had shaped every aspect of his professional life. Carol's manipulations had extended into his personal affairs. Their absence left a vacuum that he filled with even more work. Expanding the Mitchell-Wallace brand internationally. "Mr. Mitchell," the assistant's voice pulled him back to the present. "Mrs. Mitchell is online too." William suppressed a sigh. "I'll take it." Kimberly's voice came through the speaker, brittle with forced cheerfulness. "Darling, don't forget we have dinner with the Hendersons tonight." "I remember," he lied smoothly. In the art auction tomorrow, I've selected a Rothko I think would be perfect for the Chicago hotel lobby. Whatever you think is best. After 20 years, William had perfected the art of marital autopilot. I'll see you at home by 7, she concluded, the statement more command than question. After hanging up, William swiveled his chair to face the floor-to-ceiling windows of his downtown Chicago office. Below, construction crews worked on the finishing touches of the new Mitchell Wallace flagship hotel, his most ambitious project to date. The Chicago property represented more than just another luxury destination. It was William's attempt to reclaim something of himself, built on the site of his grandfather's first hotel. The design incorporated elements of classic architecture alongside cutting-edge amenities, a bridge between heritage and innovation. His intercom buzzed again. The internship committee needs your signature on the final selections. William waved his assistant in. Taking the folder. How many this year? 12, from over 2,000 applicants. He flipped through the files, scanning brief bios of eager young faces. Business majors mostly, with a few from hotel management programs. Near the bottom, a name caught his eye. Emma Palmer. Something about her photo snagged his attention. Dark hair, confident smile, and eyes that seemed eerily familiar. According to her bio, she was a double major in culinary arts and hotel management from Savannah College of Art and Design. This one. He tapped her file. She's not a typical business student. The committee was impressed by her experience growing up in her family's restaurant chain. Home-style flavor. Apparently it's quite successful in the Southeast. William stared at the photo again, a strange déjà vu sensation washing over him. Home-style flavor, he repeated. I don't think I'm familiar with it. Southern comfort food elevated to fine dining. The founder started with a single bakery in Savannah about 15 years ago. They thought Mrs. Palmer's culinary background might bring a fresh perspective to our hospitality operations. William nodded slowly, unable to shake the feeling that he was missing something important. Make sure she's assigned to the Chicago opening team. I'd like to see what she brings to the table. That night, as Kimberly chatted animatedly across the dinner table about the status symbols of their social competitors, William found his thoughts drifting to the young intern with the strangely familiar eyes. Perhaps working with the next generation would inject some meaning into the empire he'd built, but never truly enjoyed. 3 weeks later, when his private elevator opened onto the construction floor of the Chicago hotel, William was greeted by his project manager and a group of eager interns in hard hats. His gaze immediately found Emma Palmer among them, and for a brief disorienting moment, he was transported back 20 years to a blue-lit hotel bar and a waitress who'd surprised him with an innovative old-fashioned. Mr. Mitchell, the project manager stepped forward. We're ready for the walkthrough whenever you are. William collected himself, extending his hand to the group. Welcome to what will soon be the crown jewel of the Mitchell Wallace portfolio. I look forward to seeing your contributions to our grand opening. As the tour began, he found himself watching Emma's reactions to the space. Her thoughtful questions about design choices, her appreciative nods at architectural details others missed. There was something about her that resonated with him on a level he couldn't quite identify. Later that evening, William sat alone in his home office. The name Palmer and home-style flavor typed into his search bar. Something was stirring in his memory, a connection he couldn't yet make but couldn't ignore. Chicago sparkled beneath a perfect June sky as black limousines lined up outside the new Mitchell Wallace Hotel. Tonight's grand opening had drawn celebrities, politicians, and business elite from across the country, all eager to be seen at the most anticipated hospitality event of the year. Inside, the massive lobby hummed with activity as staff made final preparations. Emma Palmer adjusted her name tag, smoothing the sleek black dress she'd splurged on specifically for this evening. After 3 weeks of 16-hour days helping coordinate vendor deliveries, menu tastings, and guest accommodations, the moment had arrived to see if their collective efforts would pay off. Nervous? Asked Denise, a fellow intern from Cornell. Excited, Emma replied, though her stomach fluttered with both emotions. I still can't believe Mr. Mitchell approved my suggestion for the dessert menu. When the executive chef had fallen ill 2 days earlier, Emma had impulsively submitted her mother's signature orange cardamom cake recipe as an alternative to the planned dessert. To everyone's surprise, William Mitchell had personally signed off on the last-minute change after a single taste. Speaking of our fearless leader, Denise whispered. "Don't look now." But he just walked in with the Ice Queen. Emma couldn't resist glancing toward the entrance where William Mitchell stood with his wife, Kimberly. Even in a room full of beautiful people, they commanded attention. He in a perfectly tailored tuxedo that emphasized his tall frame. She in a shimmering silver gown that probably cost more than Emma's entire college tuition. "Mrs. Mitchell looks ready to freeze anyone who gets too close," Emma murmured, noting the possessive grip Kimberly maintained on her husband's arm. "Rumor has it they sleep in separate bedrooms," Denise gossiped. "My cousin's friend works at their Lake Michigan estate. That's none of our business," Emma replied, though she filed the information away, oddly fascinated by the Mitchell-Wallace dynamic. The event director's voice crackled through their earpieces. "All staff positions now. Doors opening in 10 minutes," as Emma moved to her assigned spot near the exhibition kitchen. She caught William Mitchell watching her from across the room. He lifted his champagne glass slightly, a gesture of acknowledgement that sent an unexpected rush of pride through her. William stood at the edge of the ballroom, half listening to a senator's monologue about tax incentives, while his attention drifted to the young intern who'd impressed him continuously over the past weeks. There was something about Emma Palmer that nagged at him, a familiarity he couldn't place but couldn't ignore. "Your attention, everyone." The event host tapped a microphone. "Please welcome our host for this evening, the visionary behind the new crown jewel of American hospitality, William Mitchell." Polite applause filled the room as William took the stage, shifting effortlessly into his public persona. 20 years ago, my grandfather told me that a truly great hotel doesn't just provide luxury, it creates moments that linger in memory long after guests have departed." His practiced speech rolled smoothly, highlighting the hotel's unique features and sustainable design. As he spoke, the ballroom doors opened to admit latecomers. William's gaze drifted past the crowd, and his words momentarily faltered. Standing in the doorway was a ghost from his past. Lauren Palmer looked exactly like and nothing like the woman he remembered. 20 years had added subtle lines around her eyes, a confidence set to her shoulders, a grace that came from experience rather than youth. Her simple black dress was elegant without trying too hard. Her chestnut hair swept into a sophisticated updo. William recovered quickly, continuing his speech on autopilot while his mind raced. "Lauren, here. After all this time, the shock wasn't just her presence, but the visceral reaction her appearance triggered, as if 2 decades had compressed into nothing, and then he saw it." Lauren looking toward Emma at the dessert station, the younger woman beaming back with a familiar smile, the same eyes, the same profile. The realization struck William with physical force, nearly making him stumble over his closing remarks. It couldn't be. And yet, the timing, the resemblance, the strange familiarity he'd felt. Emma Palmer wasn't just Lauren's daughter. She was his. "Mom, you made it." Emma embraced Lauren tightly. "I thought your flight was delayed." "I caught an earlier connection," Lauren replied, her eyes darting nervously around the opulent space. "I couldn't miss your big night." When Emma had called, gushing about being selected to help coordinate the grand opening, Lauren had invented excuses to avoid attending. But her daughter's disappointment had been palpable, and her pride ultimately outweighed her fear of the past. Now, standing in the heart of William Mitchell's latest triumph, Lauren regretted her decision. She'd spotted him immediately upon entering, his commanding presence on stage impossible to miss. The years had been kind to him, adding distinguished silver at his temples and lines that only enhanced his features. "You have to try the dessert," Emma was saying, pulling her toward the exhibition kitchen. "It's your recipe. The orange cardamom cake, mister. Mitchell personally approved it when Chef Bernard got sick." Lauren's step faltered. "My recipe. I hope you don't mind." Emma bit her lip. "I didn't mention it was yours specifically, just that it was a family specialty." Before Lauren could respond, a deep voice spoke from behind them. "Ms. Palmer, I've been looking forward to meeting the culinary genius behind home-style flavor." Lauren turned slowly, steeling herself for the moment she'd simultaneously dreaded and imagined countless times over 20 years. William stood before them, his expression professionally pleasant, though she could see the shock in his eyes, the same shock undoubtedly reflected in her own. "Mr. Mitchell," she managed, her voice steadier than she felt. "Congratulations on the opening. It's a beautiful property." If Emma noticed the tension crackling between them, she didn't show it. "Mr. Mitchell, "This is my mother, Lauren Palmer. Mom, this is William Mitchell, the CEO. Your daughter has been an exceptional addition to our team," William said, his gaze never leaving Lauren's face. "Now I understand where she gets her talent and eye for detail." Lauren swallowed hard. Emma has always been extraordinary, entirely her own person. The double meaning wasn't lost on William, whose eyes narrowed slightly. "Mom owned just one small bakery when I was born," Emma explained proudly. "Now Homestyle Flavor has restaurants in 6 states. Quite the success story." William nodded. "Perhaps we could discuss potential collaboration opportunities for your restaurants within our hotels. Miss Palmer, my office can arrange a meeting." Before Lauren could formulate a response, a commotion near the entrance drew their attention. A striking blonde woman was making her way directly toward them, her expression shifting from practiced socialite smile to suspicious assessment as she approached. "Darling, the mayor is asking for you," Kimberly Mitchell said, slipping her arm possessively through her husband's while eyeing Lauren. "I don't believe we've met. Kimberly, this is Lauren Palmer, founder of Homestyle Flavor Restaurants," William said, his tone carefully neutral, "and her daughter Emma, one of our promising interns." Something flickered across Kimberly's face. Recognition, perhaps, or calculation. "Palmer, that sounds familiar. We're based primarily in the Southeast," Lauren replied smoothly. "I should let you get back to your guests, Emma. We'll catch up later." "Actually, I'd love to hear more about your operation," William interjected. "Perhaps a tour of your flagship location could be arranged when I'm next in Savannah." Lauren met his gaze directly, recognizing the determination there. "That won't be necessary. I insist." The words held a quiet intensity. Kimberly's grip on William's arm tightened visibly. "The mayor, William, it would be rude to keep him waiting." As the Mitchells moved away, Emma turned to her mother with wide eyes. "Do you realize what just happened? The William Mitchell wants to visit our restaurant?" Lauren nodded absently, her thoughts in turmoil. 20 years of careful distance, of protecting Emma from rejection, unraveling in a single evening. She watched William across the room, noting how he glanced back at them repeatedly. Despite Kimberly's obvious attempts to retain his attention, he knew, or at least he suspected. The look in his eyes when he'd seen them together, the shock, the calculation, the intensity, told her everything. After 2 decades of silence, William Mitchell had re-entered their lives, and Lauren feared nothing would ever be the same again. Across the room, a young man with sandy hair and a confident smile approached Emma. Introducing himself with a slight bow, Lauren watched as her daughter's face lit up with interest, unaware that yet another thread of fate was being woven into their increasingly complicated tapestry. William Mitchell hadn't slept in 48 hours. Since the hotel opening, his mind had been consumed by a single thought. Emma Palmer was his daughter. The mathematical certainty of it, her age, the timing of his separation from Lauren, left little room for doubt. But it was the visual evidence that truly convinced him. Those eyes, his mother's eyes, Mitchell eyes. "You're distracted," Kimberly noted coldly, watching him from the doorway of his home office. "You've barely spoken since the opening." William didn't look up from his laptop where Emma Palmer's internship file was displayed. "It was a significant event. There's a lot to process." "It's the Palmer woman, isn't it?" Kimberly moved closer, her silk robe whispering against the carpet. "I saw how you looked at her." Now he did look up, carefully controlling his expression. "What are you talking about?" "Don't insult my intelligence, William. That waitress from 20 years ago, the one you almost married, Lauren Palmer." Kimberly's perfectly manicured nails tapped against his desk. "Did you think I wouldn't recognize her? That I wouldn't remember?" William felt a chill run through him. He'd never mentioned Lauren's last name to Kimberly. In fact, he'd rarely spoken of Lauren at all over their 2 decades of marriage. "How did you know her surname?" he asked quietly. A flicker of something, alarm perhaps, crossed Kimberly's face before she recovered. "You must have mentioned it years ago." "No," William stood slowly. "I didn't." The tension between them stretched taut before Kimberly abruptly changed tactics, her expression softening. "Does it matter, ancient history, darling? I was merely surprised to see her after all this time." She reached to straighten his tie unnecessarily. "What an odd coincidence that her daughter is one of our interns." "Yes," William agreed. watching her carefully. Odd. After Kimberly left, William turned to the window, thoughts racing. Her reaction confirmed what he'd already suspected. Kimberly knew more about Lauren's disappearance than she'd ever admitted. But how much more? And what exactly had happened during those missing days before his wedding? He opened his desk drawer, removing a small black notebook, and began making calls. "You're going to wear a hole in the carpet," Karen observed as Lauren paced her hotel room. After the opening event, Lauren had insisted they stay in Chicago an extra day, claiming she wanted to see more of Emma before returning to oversee restaurant operations in Savannah. The truth was simpler and more complicated. She couldn't leave without addressing the Williams situation. "He knows," Lauren said for perhaps the 10th time. "I saw it in his face when he looked at us together. So what if he does?" Karen's practical tone was grounding. "Emma's 20. You've raised her on your own. Even if he wanted some kind of relationship with her now, it would be Emma's choice." Lauren stopped pacing. "What if he tells her? What if he turns her against me for keeping the truth from her all these years?" "That girl worships the ground you walk on," Karen reassured her. "Nothing could turn her against you. Certainly not some hotel mogul she barely knows, no matter how impressive his empire." Lauren's phone chimed with a text. Her heart jumped when she saw the sender. "We need to talk. Privately today. William Mitchell." "How did he get my number?" she whispered. Karen peered over her shoulder. "He owns half of Chicago, and probably has connections in the other half. Are you going to meet him?" Lauren stared at the message, 20 years of buried emotions surging to the surface. "I don't have a choice." An hour later, Lauren sat in a private dining room of a small, exclusive restaurant owned by a Mitchell Wallace subsidiary. When William entered, she was struck again by how time had refined rather than diminished his presence. "Thank you for coming," he said formally, taking the seat across from her. "Your message didn't sound optional," Lauren replied. Struggling to keep her voice even, William studied her for a moment. "You look well, Lauren. Success suits you. Let's skip the pleasantries. What do you want?" His expression hardened slightly. "Emma is my daughter, isn't she?" Lauren had prepared for this question, rehearsed deflections and ambiguous answers. But faced with William's direct gaze, she found she couldn't lie. Not anymore. Yes. The single word hung between them. William closed his eyes briefly, absorbing the confirmation of what he already knew. "Why didn't you tell me?" His voice was controlled, but she could hear the strain. Lauren gave a bitter laugh. "Tell you. After you sent me a check to go away. After you made it abundantly clear that I wasn't good enough for the Mitchell legacy." Confusion crossed his face. "What are you talking about? I never sent you any check." "Don't." Lauren's hands clenched in her lap. "I received your letter the morning of our wedding. Your handwriting, your signature, your family's check for $1 million to make me disappear. I tore it up in the church where we were supposed to get married." William stared at her, genuine shock in his eyes. "Lauren, I never wrote any letter. I never sent any check. I woke up in a clinic in Seattle with no memory of how I got there. They told me..." He stopped abruptly, understanding dawning. "They told me you'd taken money to leave, that you'd never really loved me." Lauren's breath caught. "What?" "I wrote to you," William continued, his voice intensifying. "Dozens of letters explaining what happened, begging you to contact me. When you never responded, I eventually believed what they kept telling me, that you'd wanted out and taken the opportunity when it was offered." "Who is they?" Lauren asked, though she suspected the answer. "My parents and Kimberly." William's expression darkened. "The night before our wedding, I had drinks with my father and some business associates. I remember feeling strange afterward, going to bed early. The next thing I knew, I was in Seattle with Kimberly, telling me I'd had some kind of breakdown." Lauren felt dizzy with the implications. "You think they drugged you?" "I know they did." His voice was grim. "And they intercepted my letters to you, forged a letter to you from me, all to make sure we never found our way back to each other. 20 years of hurt and anger began to crack. You didn't abandon me, or our child." "I never knew about our child, Lauren." William's voice broke slightly. "If I had known about Emma, nothing on earth could have kept me from finding you both." Lauren covered her face with her hands, overwhelmed by the realization that they had both been victims of an elaborate deception. When she looked up, William's expression had shifted from pain to determination. I want to meet her. Really meet her. Not as her boss, but as her father. No, Lauren said instantly. You can't tell her. She has a right to know the truth. The truth? Lauren leaned forward. That her biological father's family conspired to separate her parents. That the woman married to her father possibly drugged him and has been living a lie for 20 years. That would destroy her, William. He reluctantly nodded. Then what do you suggest? Let me tell her in my own time. In my own way. Lauren's mind raced. She's just starting her career. This internship means everything to her. If this comes out wrong, it could derail everything she's worked for. William considered this, then nodded slowly. All right, but I want to get to know her, even if she doesn't know who I am to her yet. Be careful, Lauren warned. Emma is perceptive. She notices details, connections. Like her mother, William said softly, his eyes holding hers with an intensity that made her look away. Like both of us, she admitted. She has your business instincts, your eye for design, my stubbornness. A genuine smile transformed William's face. Tell me about her. Everything. As Lauren began sharing stories of Emma's childhood, the tension between them gradually eased. For a precious hour, they were simply two parents discussing the remarkable person they'd created. One who had raised her, one who was just discovering her. The spell broke when William's phone buzzed with a text. His expression darkened as he read it. What is it? Lauren asked. I hired a private investigator to look into the events surrounding our separation, he said, returning the phone to his pocket. He's found something in my mother's old files. What? William stood, his expression grim. I'm not sure yet, but I'm going to find out exactly what happened 20 years ago and who was responsible. As he left, Lauren sat alone, trying to process the seismic shift in her understanding of the past. The man she had spent 20 years believing had rejected her, and their unborn child had been as much a victim as she was. And somewhere in Chicago, their daughter was unknowingly building a relationship with the father she'd never known she had. You can't seriously be considering this, Emma said, staring at Kyle Wallace across the hotel's rooftop garden. The morning sun cast a golden glow across his features, making him look even more handsome than he had at their first meeting during the grand opening 3 weeks ago. Why not? Kyle grinned, his confidence both irritating and attractive. One dinner, you, me, and a spectacular view from the chef's table at altitude. Emma tried to maintain her professional demeanor despite the flutter in her stomach. As nephew of Kimberly Wallace Mitchell and the heir apparent to the Wallace side of the hotel empire, Kyle was technically her boss's nephew, a complication she didn't need in her already demanding internship. It's inappropriate, she insisted. I'm here to work, not date the executive team's relatives. I'm not actually on the executive team yet, Kyle pointed out, casually leaning against the railing. After completing his MBA in London, he'd returned to learn the family business from the ground up, or so the company newsletter had announced. Just a management trainee like you, with a guaranteed corner office in your future. Details. Kyle waved dismissively, then grew more serious. Look, I like you. Emma, you're smart, talented, and you don't care about my last name. Do you know how rare that is in my world? Emma softened slightly. Despite his privileged background, there was something genuine about Kyle that had drawn her to him since their first conversation at the opening gala. One dinner, she conceded. As friends, and nobody at work can know. Kyle's smile brightened the already sunny day. I'll pick you up at 8. As he walked away, Emma's phone buzzed with a text from her mother. Just checking in. Everything okay? Emma smiled at Lauren's thinly veiled concern. Her mother had been acting strangely since the opening event, calling more frequently, asking odd questions about her interactions with hotel management, almost as if she were worried about something beyond the normal maternal concern. All good, Emma texted back. Meeting with W. Mitchell today about special project. We'll call later. The special project had come as a surprise. A direct request from the CEO himself for Emma to help evaluate the guest experience at the new hotel. It was an unprecedented opportunity for an intern, generating both excitement and resentment among her peers. Emma glanced at her watch and hurried toward the executive elevator. Whatever her mother's concerns, this meeting could shape her entire career. William paced his office. periodically glancing at the file his investigator had delivered. Inside were photocopies of documents found in Carol Mitchell's personal storage, letters never sent, notes from private investigators, and most disturbingly, medical records indicating George Mitchell had been prescribed powerful sedatives just before William's wedding date. The evidence was damning. His parents and Kimberly had orchestrated the entire separation, drugging him, fabricating the letter to Lauren, intercepting his attempts to contact her. 20 years of his life built on elaborately constructed lies. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. Emma stood in the doorway, poised and professional in a tailored blazer that reminded him painfully of Lauren at that age. "Mr. Mitchell, you wanted to see me." William composed himself, gesturing to the chair across from his desk. "Yes, come in." As Emma settled into the chair, William studied her surreptitiously, the shape of her eyes, the way she tilted her head slightly when listening, all echoes of himself. How had he not seen it immediately? "I've been reviewing the guest feedback from our opening week," he began, sliding a folder toward her. "Your suggestions for the welcome experience have been particularly well received." Emma brightened. "Thank you. I noticed during the pre-opening that guests seemed overwhelmed by the check-in process. Sometimes simpler is better, even in luxury hospitality." "Exactly right," William smiled, recognizing his own business philosophy in her words. "I'd like you to expand your analysis to all guest touchpoints. Work directly with me on refining the Mitchell-Wallace approach for all future properties." Emma's eyes widened. "That's a significant responsibility." "You've earned it." William hesitated, then added more personally, "Your mother must be very proud of what you've accomplished already." "She is," Emma replied, a soft smile transforming her face. "She built her business from nothing while raising me alone. Everything I know about hard work and hospitality, I learned from her." William felt a sharp pang of loss for the years he'd missed. "Your father isn't in the picture." The question was too direct. He knew it immediately. Emma's expression closed slightly. "No, he wasn't interested in being a parent," she said carefully, then quickly changed the subject. "When would you like me to start on this project?" William made a mental note to approach more carefully in the future. "Immediately. I've arranged access to all our customer data and operations manuals." As Emma left his office, William's desk phone rang. The investigator's voice came through the speaker. "Mr. Mitchell, there's something else you should know. I've been looking into the plane crash that killed your parents as you requested." William stiffened. "What about it?" "The mechanic who signed off on the pre-flight check died of an apparent suicide 2 weeks after the crash, but his wife claims he mentioned concerns about tampering the day before he died." "Tampering," William repeated, his blood running cold. "Yes, sir, and there's more, Mrs. Mitchell. Your wife made 3 calls to a private number linked to that same mechanic in the week before the crash." William ended the call, his mind reeling. Could Kimberly have been involved in his parents' deaths? The thought seemed unthinkable, yet after discovering the truth about his wedding day, nothing felt beyond possibility. "Kyle, this is crazy," Emma whispered as they slipped into the darkened executive floor after hours. "We could both get fired. Only if we get caught," Kyle replied, using his security pass to access the administrative wing. "And we won't. Security knows I'm working late on quarterly projections." Emma followed reluctantly. After their dinner, which had indeed been just dinner despite the chemistry crackling between them, Kyle had told her about odd conversations he'd overheard between his Aunt Kimberly and the company's security chief. Conversations about containing potential problems and securing sensitive historical documents. "I still don't understand why you're so interested in your aunt's old files," Emma said as they entered Carol Mitchell's former office, now used mainly for document storage. Kyle's expression grew serious. "My father, Kimberly's brother, always believed there was something wrong about the Mitchell-Wallace merger. He opposed it until his death, said there were unethical tactics involved, but would never elaborate. And you think the proof is here? Worth checking," Kyle said, pulling out boxes labeled with dates from 20 years ago. "My father was a good man, if he was concerned. There was a reason. They worked in silence, sifting through folders of mundane business records. After an hour, Emma was ready to give up when a hidden compartment in Carol Mitchell's old desk yielded a locked metal box. "Can you pick it?" she asked Kyle, who shook his head. "But I know where my grandmother kept spare keys," he replied, retrieving a small key from behind a loose baseboard. "Family secret." The box contained dozens of letters, all addressed to Lauren Palmer, all unopened. Emma picked one up, confused. "These are from William Mitchell," she said, examining the return address. "Addressed to my mother, but that can't be right. These are dated 20 years ago." Kyle frowned. "Why would Carol Mitchell have letters from her son to your mother?" Emma's hands trembled as she carefully opened one of the yellowed envelopes, scanning the desperate words inside. "Lauren, please believe me. I don't know what they told you, but I never sent any letter rejecting you or our future together. I woke up here in Seattle with no memory of how I got here. They're saying I had some kind of breakdown, but I know that's not true. I think they drugged me. Please write back. Please call. I love you. William." "Oh my God," Emma whispered, her world tilting on its axis. She grabbed another letter, then another, each telling the same story. William Mitchell desperately trying to reach her mother, explaining his disappearance, proclaiming his love. Beneath the letters lay a manila folder containing a private investigator's report. Commissioned by Carol Mitchell shortly before her death, the investigator had looked into Lauren Palmer's whereabouts and discovered she had a daughter, born approximately 9 months after the canceled wedding. "Emma," Kyle said slowly, looking from the report to her face, "is William Mitchell your father?" The question hung in the air as pieces of a puzzle Emma hadn't known existed suddenly began falling into place. Her mother's evasiveness about her father, the strange tension at the gala, William Mitchell's sudden interest in her career, her hands shaking. Emma pulled out a final document from the bottom of the box, a preliminary report about the Mitchells' fatal plane crash, with handwritten notes in the margin, questioning whether the mechanical failure was truly an accident. "Kyle, I think this is much bigger than we imagined," Emma said, her voice barely audible. "I think your aunt may have done something terrible to both our families." As they gathered the evidence, neither noticed the security camera in the corner of the room, its red light blinking steadily as it captured their discovery, nor the alert being sent directly to Kimberly Mitchell's private phone. "Mom, I need to talk to you. It's important." Emma's voice through the phone was tense, setting off immediate alarm bells for Lauren. "What's wrong? Are you okay?" Lauren gripped her cell phone tighter, glancing at her watch. Her flight back to Chicago wasn't until tomorrow morning. "I'm fine, but it's complicated. Not something I can explain over the phone." Lauren closed her eyes, a sense of foreboding washing over her. "Does this have anything to do with William Mitchell?" The silence on the other end confirmed her suspicions, before Emma finally responded. "How did you know?" "Just a feeling," Lauren said carefully. "I'll be there first thing tomorrow. We can talk then." "Mom, there's something else." Emma hesitated. "I'm with someone who has information about what happened 20 years ago. His name is Kyle Wallace. He's Kimberly Mitchell's nephew." Lauren's blood ran cold. "Emma, listen to me. You need to be careful. Don't trust anyone connected to the Wallace family. Kyle's different. His father opposed the Mitchell-Wallace merger. He's been helping me." Another pause. "We found letters, Mom, from William Mitchell to you. Letters you never received." The world seemed to tilt beneath Lauren's feet. "Where are you now?" "At the Palmer Suite." The irony of her daughter taking refuge in a hotel room named after their family's restaurant chain wasn't lost on Lauren. "Kyle thought it would be safer than my apartment. Don't leave the room. Don't tell anyone where you are. I'll get the next flight out." After hanging up, Lauren immediately called William. When he answered, the tension in his voice mirrored her own. "Lauren, I was just about to call you. There's been a development." "Emma knows." She cut him off. "She found the letters." A sharp intake of breath. "How?" "She and Kimberly's nephew Kyle have been searching through old records, William. I'm scared if Kimberly was willing to do what she did 20 years ago." "I know," he said grimly. "And it gets worse. I have reason to believe Kimberly may have been involved in my parents' death." Lauren sank into a chair, absorbing the magnitude of what they were facing. "My God, what have we stumbled into?" "A decades-long conspiracy, apparently," William replied. "But there's a bigger problem right now. The 50th anniversary celebration is in 2 days. Everyone will be there. Board members, investors, media, if Kimberly feels cornered. She could do something desperate, Lauren finished. I'm coming to Chicago tonight. Emma and Kyle are hiding in the Palmer suite at your hotel. I'll make sure security keeps a discreet eye on that floor. And Lauren, his voice softened, we'll figure this out. Together. The word together lingered in her mind long after the call ended. Kimberly Wallace Mitchell rearranged the display of photos on her desk for the third time. A tight smile fixed on her face as the event coordinator reviewed details for the upcoming 50th anniversary celebration. We've confirmed the governor and both senators will attend, the coordinator was saying. The commemorative booklets highlighting the Mitchell legacy are being delivered tomorrow, and the ice sculpture of the original Mitchell Hotel is truly spectacular. Perfect. Kimberly nodded absently, her attention on the security feed displayed on her tablet. The Palmer suite remained locked. Its occupants, her traitorous nephew and William's bastard daughter, having not emerged for hours. Mrs. Mitchell, is everything all right? Kimberly's smile tightened further. Of course, just thinking about last-minute details. She gestured toward the door. That will be all for now. Once alone, she unlocked the bottom drawer of her desk, removing a small box containing a flash drive. 20 years of careful planning, of ensuring William remained under her control, of building an empire that was rightfully hers to command, all potentially undone by a nosy intern with familiar eyes. She'd known, of course, the moment she saw Lauren Palmer at the hotel opening with that girl. The timing, the resemblance to William, it could only mean one thing: a Mitchell heir that wasn't hers, a threat to everything she'd built. Kimberly inserted the flash drive into her computer, opening encrypted files containing contingency plans she'd hoped never to use. Everything was there. Bank accounts in the Caymans, identity documents, escape routes, just in case. But first, she had to contain the immediate threat. She picked up her phone, dialing a number she rarely used. "It's me," she said. When the man answered, "We have a situation that needs handling tonight, but in the Palmer suite." Emma paced while Kyle arranged the evidence they'd gathered on the dining table. "We should make copies," he suggested, organizing the letters chronologically. "Digital backups of everything." Emma nodded, still processing the implications of their discoveries. "I still can't believe it. William Mitchell is my father. And your aunt orchestrated this whole elaborate scheme to keep my parents apart, and potentially had my uncle and aunt killed when they threatened to reveal the truth," Kyle added grimly, holding up the report they'd found. "My father always said Aunt Kimberly was ruthlessly ambitious, but this... Why are you helping me?" Emma asked suddenly. "She's your family." Kyle looked up, his expression softening. "So was my father. He died believing there was corruption at the heart of this company. If I can expose the truth and honor his memory..." He trailed off, then added more quietly, "Besides, I care about you, Emma. More than I probably should after just a few weeks." The confession hung between them, adding another layer of complexity to an already overwhelming situation. Before Emma could respond, her phone rang. An unknown number. "Hello? Ms. Palmer?" William Mitchell's voice was tense. "Security has spotted unusual activity near your floor. I'm sending a trusted member of my team to move you and Mr. Wallace to a more secure location. They'll identify themselves with the phrase, homestyle security. Should we be worried? Just a precaution. Your mother's flight lands in an hour. I'll meet her at the airport and bring her directly to you." After hanging up, Emma relayed the message to Kyle, who immediately began gathering their evidence. "We should be ready to move quickly," he said, sliding documents into a leather portfolio. "If your mother's coming tonight instead of tomorrow, the situation must be serious." A soft knock at the door made them both freeze. Emma approached cautiously. "Who is it?" "Homestyle security," came a male voice. "Mr. Mitchell sent me." Emma opened the door to find a broad-shouldered man in a dark suit. "We need to go now," he said, eyes scanning the hallway. "Bring only what's essential." Kyle clutched the portfolio tightly as they followed the security officer toward the service elevator. As the doors closed, Emma noticed the man reaching into his jacket. "Wait," she said, sudden alarm bells ringing in her mind. "How did you know which room we were in? I never told Mr. Mitchell our exact location." The man's expression hardened as he withdrew not a credential but a syringe. "Smart girl. Too smart for your own good." Kyle reacted instantly. swinging the heavy portfolio at the man's head while Emma hit the emergency stop button. The elevator jolted to a halt between floors, throwing all three of them off balance. In the confined space, a desperate struggle ensued. The syringe clattered to the floor as Kyle grappled with the larger man. Emma grabbed the emergency phone, frantically explaining the situation to security. The attacker slammed Kyle against the wall, reaching again inside his jacket. Emma acted on instinct, driving her knee up with all her strength. As the man doubled over, Kyle delivered a decisive blow that sent him crumpling to the floor. "Are you okay?" Emma gasped, checking Kyle for injuries. "I'll live." He winced, cradling his right hand. "But I think this confirms your father's suspicions. Kimberly knows we found the evidence." Hotel security overrode the emergency stop, bringing the elevator to the basement level where genuine security personnel waited with the actual team member William had sent, who had been delayed by a staged distraction in the lobby. As they were escorted to a secure office, Emma's phone rang again. Her mother this time. "Mom, thank God, someone just tried to attack us in the elevator." Lauren's voice was steady, controlled. "Are you hurt?" "We're okay." Kyle fought him off. "Listen carefully, Emma. William and I are on our way to you. The anniversary celebration is tomorrow night, and we think that's Kimberly's deadline. Whatever she's planning, she'll need to act before the truth comes out publicly." Emma glanced at Kyle, who was having his injured hand examined by a first aid responder. "Mom, there's something else you should know," Emma said quietly, moving out of earshot. "I know William Mitchell is my father. I know what happened 20 years ago." A long pause. "We have a lot to talk about," Lauren finally replied, her voice thick with emotion. "But first, we need to make sure we're all safe. This isn't just about the past anymore, Emma. It's about stopping Kimberly before she can hurt anyone else." As she hung up, Emma looked at the scattered evidence they'd managed to salvage. Proof of a conspiracy that had torn apart lives, ended others, and was still unfolding around them. Tomorrow night, the Mitchell-Wallace empire would celebrate 50 years of success, unaware that the foundations of that success were built on manipulation, lies, and possibly murder. And she, Emma Palmer, or perhaps Emma Mitchell, was now at the center of it all. The Mitchell-Wallace Hotel's grand ballroom glittered with crystal chandeliers and gold accents as America's business elite gathered to celebrate the company's 50th anniversary. A 15-foot ice sculpture dominated the center of the room, a perfect replica of the original Mitchell Hotel, where the empire had begun half a century earlier. William Mitchell stood near the entrance, mechanically greeting guests while his eyes continuously scanned the crowd. His tuxedo was impeccable, his smile practiced, but tension radiated from him in almost visible waves. "Relax," Lauren murmured beside him, stunning in a midnight blue gown they'd hastily purchased that morning. "You're going to tip her off. Where's Emma?" he asked under his breath, nodding at the approaching senator. "With Kyle and the security team, waiting for my signal." Lauren's smile never faltered as she shook hands with people who had no idea of the drama unfolding beneath the evening's polished surface. Everything's in place. After reuniting with Emma the previous night, they had spent hours developing a strategy. The evidence they'd gathered was compelling, but not quite conclusive enough to involve authorities immediately, particularly given the Mitchell-Wallace influence in Chicago. They needed Kimberly to incriminate herself more definitively, preferably with witnesses. "She's here," William whispered, his body tensing as Kimberly made her entrance. She was radiant in silver Versace, diamonds dripping from her ears and throat, her smile dazzling as she worked the room like the consummate socialite she'd spent decades becoming. No one looking at her would suspect she had attempted to have her own nephew and his companion kidnapped, or worse, less than 24 hours earlier. "Ladies and gentlemen," the event coordinator announced through the sound system, "please take your seats. Dinner will be served shortly, followed by our program celebrating 50 remarkable years of Mitchell-Wallace hospitality." As guests moved toward their assigned tables, William placed his hand lightly on Lauren's back. Guiding her through the crowd, the contact was brief, but sent a current of awareness through both of them. A reminder of the connection that had survived 20 years of forced separation. "Table 1, Lauren questioned, as they approached the head table where Kimberly was already seated, holding court with the governor and his wife. "Keep your friends close," William murmured. and your attempted murderers closer. Kimberly's smile froze momentarily when she saw Lauren, then stretched wider. William, darling, you didn't mention Mrs. Palmer would be joining our table. Her voice dripped honey over poison. Last-minute adjustment? William replied smoothly. Lauren's culinary expertise has been an invaluable addition to our Chicago opening. Servers appeared with champagne and appetizers as the ballroom filled with the gentle murmur of conversations and soft laughter. To casual observers, the head table appeared to be engaged in pleasant business discussion. Only someone watching closely would notice the tightness around Kimberly's eyes, or the way her gaze continually drifted toward the entrance. Looking for someone? Lauren asked innocently, following Kimberly's line of sight. Just checking that everything's running smoothly? Kimberly replied. Tonight must be perfect. The Mitchell legacy demands nothing less. Legacy is a curious thing, isn't it? William mused, swirling his champagne. What we choose to remember, what we choose to forget. Kimberly's knuckles whitened around her glass. Some things are better left forgotten. William. The first course arrived, temporarily pausing the verbal sparring. Lauren checked her phone discreetly beneath the table, sending a quick text. First phase complete. Ready for second. Across the ballroom, Emma received the message and nodded to Kyle. They slipped from their hidden position to the audio-visual control room where the event's technical director waited. Everything set? Emma asked, her heart pounding. The technician nodded. As requested, it'll transition seamlessly after the introductory video about the company's history. Perfect, Kyle said, his hand finding Emma's and squeezing reassuringly. Despite the bandages on his knuckles from the previous night's fight, his touch was gentle. Remember, we just need to keep her talking once the evidence is presented. The microphones will pick up everything. Emma nodded, trying to calm her nerves. In the past 48 hours, her entire understanding of her life and family had been upended. The man she'd been told had rejected her before birth was actually a victim of manipulation who'd never known she existed. The glamorous hotel empire she'd dreamed of working for was built partly on deception and possibly murder. And now she was about to confront the architect of it all in front of Chicago's most influential citizens. Back in the ballroom, dessert plates were being cleared as the lights dimmed slightly. A screen descended from the ceiling as the event host took the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to our special presentation celebrating 50 years of Mitchell Wallace excellence. William reached under the table, finding Lauren's hand as the professionally produced video began. A glossy montage of the company's growth from a single hotel to an international luxury brand. Photos of George and Carol Mitchell appeared, followed by footage of William taking the reins after their deaths, with Kimberly always by his side. A touching tribute, Kimberly commented as the video neared its conclusion, visibly relaxing as the presentation appeared to be following her approved script. But when the familiar Mitchell Wallace logo should have appeared as the final frame, the screen instead showed an image that caused audible gasps throughout the room. A photograph of Lauren and William from 20 years earlier, clearly in love, alongside a copy of the forged letter that had separated them. Kimberly half rose from her seat. What is this? The screen changed to show the stack of William's unsent letters to Lauren, then the medical records indicating George Mitchell had obtained powerful sedatives, followed by documents from Carol Mitchell's hidden investigation into Emma's birth. William stood, addressing the confused crowd. I apologize for the unexpected addition to our program, but tonight is about truth as much as celebration. 20 years ago, a conspiracy was orchestrated to separate me from the woman I loved. A conspiracy that, we've recently discovered, had tragic and far-reaching consequences. Kimberly lunged for the microphone on their table. But Lauren was faster, sliding it away as Emma and Kyle emerged from a side entrance, carrying the portfolio of evidence. William, stop this immediately, Kimberly hissed, her composure cracking. You're embarrassing yourself and the company. No, Kimberly, I'm finally exposing the truth. William gestured toward Emma, who approached the head table, including the fact that I have a daughter I never knew existed. A collective murmur swept through the room as guests processed this revelation. Emma stepped forward, her resemblance to William unmistakable as they stood side by side. This is insane, Kimberly said, looking desperately around the room. These are baseless accusations. This girl is simply trying to claim a connection to the Mitchell fortune. We have proof, Kyle interjected, opening the portfolio to reveal the private investigator's report, commissioned by Carol Mitchell shortly before her death. My grandmother discovered the truth about Emma and was preparing to tell William when she and my grandfather died in that suspicious plane crash. Kimberly's face contorted with fury as she spotted her nephew among her accusers. You ungrateful little traitor, after everything our family has done for you, like what you did for my father, Kyle challenged. He opposed the merger because he knew something wasn't right. Did you arrange his car accident too, Aunt Kimberly? Was he getting too close to the truth? The room had fallen absolutely silent, hundreds of witnesses watching the drama unfold. Kimberly's gaze darted around the ballroom like a cornered animal's. This is absurd, she finally said, attempting to regain control. These are the desperate fabrications of a woman who couldn't accept rejection, she pointed at Lauren, and a nephew bitter about his position in the family hierarchy. Then how do you explain these? Emma asked, holding up a stack of letters. Letters William wrote to my mother that were never delivered. Letters found in Carol Mitchell's personal files after her death. Or this, Lauren added, producing a weathered diary page with fragments of a torn check taped to it. The check William supposedly sent me, that I tore up at the church, but that he never actually wrote. Kimberly's composure finally shattered completely. You were nothing, she screamed at Lauren, forgetting the room full of witnesses. A waitress. You would have destroyed everything the Mitchell name stood for. She turned to William, years of resentment pouring out uncontrollably. I protected you from making the biggest mistake of your life. I gave you status, connections, an empire greater than anything your parents built. By drugging me, William asked quietly. By fabricating letters. By intercepting my attempts to find the woman I loved. I did it all for you. Kimberly's voice rose hysterically. For us. Everything I've done has been for us. Including arranging my parents' death when my mother discovered the truth about Emma. Kimberly went very still. Sudden calculation replacing her rage. I don't know what you're talking about. The mechanic who serviced their plane. Kyle interjected. He called my father the day before he supposedly committed suicide, wanting to confess something. Phone records show you called him 3 times in the week before the crash. For a moment, it seemed Kimberly might continue denying everything. Then a strange calm settled over her features. He never loved me, she said, addressing the stunned audience as if confiding in old friends. 20 years by his side, and it was always her he wanted. Even in his sleep he would call her name, she laughed. A brittle sound that raised goosebumps on listeners' arms. I did everything right. I was the perfect wife, the perfect partner. I built this empire while he mourned a waitress. You killed my parents, William said, the accusation hanging in the air. Kimberly's smile was chilling. They were going to ruin everything. Carol found the birth certificate, hired investigators. She was going to tell you about your precious daughter. She looked at Emma with naked hatred. The plane crash was neater, a tragic accident leaving you sole control of the Mitchell empire. With me by your side, of course. A collective gasp swept through the ballroom as security personnel began moving discreetly toward the head table. You're not going to get away with this, Lauren said quietly. Oh, but I already have, Kimberly replied with eerie calm. For 20 years, I've gotten away with it. And even now, she reached into her evening bag, pulling out a small handgun. Chaos erupted as guests dived under tables and security rushed forward. But Kimberly was already backing toward an exit, the gun trained on William. Nobody moves, she shouted, or the great William Mitchell joins his parents. As security personnel froze in place, Emma suddenly stepped in front of William. You'll have to go through me first. Kimberly's eyes widened with malice. Gladly. But before she could pull the trigger, Kyle tackled her from the side, sending the gun skittering across the floor as they crashed into the ice sculpture. The massive structure teetered for a heartbeat before collapsing. A symbolic end to the Mitchell-Wallace dynasty as Chicago's elite looked on in horror and fascination. 1 year later, the morning sun streamed through stained glass windows, casting jewel-toned patterns across the small private chapel on the Mitchell estate. Outside, spring had transformed the gardens into a riot of color. Not unlike the floral arrangements that now adorned the chapel's interior, a string quartet played softly as a small gathering of guests found their seats. Lauren Palmer stood in a side room, smoothing the simple cream silk dress that Karen had helped her select. No traditional white gown this time. At 45, she wanted something that reflected who she was now. Elegant but unpretentious, like the life she'd built on her own terms. "You look beautiful," Emma said, entering the room in a pale blue bridesmaid's dress. "Nervous?" Lauren smiled at her daughter. "Not in the way I expected. I thought I'd be terrified to do this again, but it feels right," Emma supplied, adjusting a pin in her mother's upswept hair. "Right," Lauren agreed. "After everything, it feels right." The past year had been a whirlwind of revelations, legal proceedings, and healing. Kimberly Wallace. Mitchell had been arrested at the gala, charged with multiple crimes including conspiracy, fraud, and the murders of George and Carol Mitchell. The evidence from that night, her own recorded confession before hundreds of witnesses, had made the case against her virtually unassailable. The scandal had rocked Chicago society and the business world, generating headlines for months. The Mitchell-Wallace empire had teetered briefly before William had taken decisive action, restructuring the company and rebranding it as New Dawn Hospitality, a name that Emma had suggested, symbolic of the fresh start they were all embracing. "I still can't believe we're here," Lauren said softly. "After 20 years, it feels like some kind of dream." "A good dream," Emma insisted, squeezing her mother's hand. "You deserve this happiness, Mom. Both of you do." A gentle knock interrupted them. Karen peeked in, now the executive chef for the entire New Dawn restaurant division. "It's time," she announced, looking misty-eyed. "Don't keep him waiting again. 20 years was long enough." Lauren laughed, the sound bright with joy and anticipation. Definitely not making that mistake twice. The chapel doors opened, and Lauren walked down the aisle alone, a deliberate choice to honor the independent woman she'd become. William waited at the altar, his expression a mixture of awe and happiness that mirrored her own feelings. When they joined hands, the connection felt both familiar and brand new. This was no longer the passionate young couple they had been, but two people who had endured separation, built separate lives, and somehow found their way back to each other with deeper understanding and appreciation. "Dearly beloved," the officiant began, "we are gathered here to celebrate not just a union, but a reunion, a love that survived against all odds and found its way home." As they exchanged vows, Lauren thought about the journey that had brought them to this moment. The pain and misunderstandings had been real, but so was the resilience they'd discovered in themselves and each other. Perhaps they had needed those years apart to become the people who could truly appreciate what they'd found. "I now pronounce you husband and wife," the officiant concluded. "What fate once separated, let no one tear asunder again." Their kiss was sweet with promise, and as they turned to face their small gathering of friends and loved ones, Lauren felt William squeeze her hand, a wordless acknowledgement of all they had overcome. The reception was held in the garden pavilion, deliberately intimate with just 50 guests, rather than the hundreds that might have been expected at a Mitchell social event in the past. Emma moved through the crowd with easy grace, stopping to chat with Kyle, who had abandoned the Wallace surname after Kimberly's arrest, choosing instead to honor his father's memory by taking his middle name as his last. "They look happy," Kyle observed, watching Lauren and William share their first dance. "Like they've finally found what they were missing all these years." Emma nodded, leaning slightly against him as his arm encircled her waist. Their own relationship had deepened during the tumultuous aftermath of Kimberly's arrest, both drawing strength from the other as they navigated their altered family landscapes. "It's strange," she mused. "A year ago, I had no idea who my father was. Now I'm watching my parents get married." "Regrets?" Kyle asked softly. "None," Emma replied immediately. "Just gratitude that the truth finally came out." The truth had indeed emerged, not just about William and Lauren's separation, but about the extent of Kimberly's machinations. The investigation had revealed her involvement in the deaths of the elder Mitchells, confirming that she had bribed a mechanic to tamper with their private plane when she discovered Carol's investigation into Emma's parentage. The same mechanic had later been silenced permanently when he began expressing remorse. Even more shocking had been the discovery that Kimberly had been systematically embezzling from the company for years, siphoning funds into offshore accounts as a contingency plan. The woman who had presented herself as the devoted wife and business partner had been preparing an escape route all along. "Have you decided about the hotel school in Switzerland?" Kyle asked. changing the subject as they moved toward the dessert table. Emma nodded. I'm going. After working with the New Dawn team this past year, I'm even more certain that hospitality is where I belong. She paused, looking at him questioningly. What about you? Harvard Business School is pretty far from Switzerland. Kyle smiled, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Distance is overrated. Besides, I hear the Alps are beautiful in winter, perfect for weekend visits. Across the garden, William led Lauren away from the crowd toward a quiet corner near an ancient oak tree. Happy? He asked, searching her face with the attentiveness that had always been his way. Beyond words, she replied, reaching up to touch his cheek. Though I still can't quite believe this is real. I spent so many years being angry at you, building this whole narrative in my head about why you rejected me. And I spent those same years believing you'd chosen money over love, William said ruefully. What a waste. Not entirely, Lauren countered. Those years gave us Emma, and they taught us both to be stronger, more resilient people. William nodded, his eyes drifting to where their daughter stood with Kyle. She's remarkable. You did an amazing job raising her. She has a lot of you in her, Lauren admitted. Your business instincts, your determination. I used to find it painful to see those traits emerge. But now I'm just grateful for them. William reached into his pocket, retrieving a small crystal pendant hanging from a delicate chain. Inside the crystal, Lauren could see what appeared to be tiny fragments of paper. What's this? She asked, as he fastened it around her neck. Pieces of that torn check you kept all these years, he explained. I had them preserved in crystal, a reminder that some things, once broken, can still become something beautiful. Lauren touched the pendant, emotion welling in her throat. Where did you find the pieces? Among Kimberly's possessions, William said quietly. She kept them as some kind of trophy, I think. But now they're transformed, like us. They rejoined the celebration as the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the gathering. The New Dawn Hotel's executive team raised glasses in a toast to their leaders, while Emma and Kyle exchanged private glances that spoke of their own future plans. As evening descended, Lauren and William prepared to depart for their honeymoon, a trip around the world visiting locations they had once dreamed of seeing together. Before they left, Emma pulled them aside, her expression suddenly shy. I have something to tell you both. She reached for Kyle's hand, drawing him closer. We weren't going to say anything yet, but I'm pregnant. The news hung in the air for a breathless moment, before Lauren enveloped her daughter in a tight embrace, tears flowing freely now. William stood stunned, then joined the embrace, one hand gently touching Emma's shoulder as if she might disappear. I never got to see you grow up, he said, voice thick with emotion. But I'll be there for every moment of my grandchild's life. I promise you that. We all will, Lauren agreed, including Kyle in their circle. Together. Later, as their car pulled away from the celebration, Lauren rested her head on William's shoulder. The weight of the past finally lifted from both their hearts. Behind them, New Dawn Hotel stood illuminated against the darkening sky, no longer just a business but a symbol of their shared future. 20 years ago, I thought I'd lost everything, William murmured, his fingers laced with hers. But maybe some things just take the long way home. Lauren smiled, watching the lights of Chicago recede as they headed toward the airport and the beginning of their delayed life together. The crystal pendant caught the last rays of sunset, transforming fragments of a painful past into something that now glittered with possibility, like their love, like their family, like the new dawn they had all, finally, been granted.